Here's the sheriff. Greg.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch that front room anyway, they can check the car front of it, stay inside, like, probably don't catch cold. Being sensible about me getting here. Might go nowhere.
Well, how long am I gonna make us wait?
She's eating a piece of fucking candy, lady. She's eating a piece of fucking candy, lady. Fucking pups, the babies eat that meat. Pups. They just put this all in your mouth. They're not acting.
Trust-based relationships. Yeah.
See the foundation?
That's interesting.
That's the trust and base.
Trust.
Trust and base should be a foundation.
Trust to be invasive,
Yeah.
misleading,
Mission.
provide false information and allegations in order to gain federal grant funds from the federal government through extortion, which is a violation of the Hobbs Act. And then it constitutes RICO violations because they're getting paid to do it, so it's organized crime. And you can prove it because they've entered into a cooperative agreement with the state in order to receive federal funding through the abduction of children, which is human trafficking, a violation of Executive Order 13818 and Executive Order 13903. Also a violation of the Constitution, the federal Constitution. Article 4, right to be secure in your person's house and papers and effects. Not to be denied your property without due process of law. Violates the state constitution as well. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I was just gonna bring you back. Who are
No,
you?
Well,
we're all family.
that's my nephew,
so
yeah.
We're all have a
They wanna
vested
be
interest
involved.
in Gregory Allen Jr. And I also have a vested interest in the conversation that happens here today. So
So who else is with us?
this is also part of the family. So
Okay, what's her name?
her name is Teresa.
Okay, she's the one that called last week. All right, come on.
Yep. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Morning, or afternoon, I should say.
Yes, it is afternoon.
Sweet on back here.
If you guys that first, and
Go ahead.
New
That's fine.
got a birth announcement in there for Junior. So, and then I've got this right here, like plus all his records, everything you've got, top, bottom, it's all stated in there. Request.
Okay, I will give that over. That will take some time to prepare, so
Okay.
that won't have it, but okay. So she has release forms for you to sign, so we can talk to the relatives that have called, because we can't tell them anything, obviously, without your permission, because I can't discuss your business unless you say it's okay for him.
That, I didn't say my, why would I say my name?
There's an issue here because your organization has an obligation to do its due diligence to find the family before moving forward with adoption, and that's founded under Title 42. And this organization has a responsibility to contact the immediate family. Now, when doing a simple Google search of Gregory Wilder, not only do we come up with his immediate family within the first 5 seconds of hitting enter, we also come up with associates, possible family members, and so I'm kind of confused as to why none of us were reached out to in the family by your organization, claiming to do your great due diligence into finding the family and to no avail, not being able to do so when a simple 5-second Google search shows Gregory Allen's immediate family, such as Gary Wilder, Lisa Wilder, or Lisa Leach, shows myself, shows Kira Renee, which would be Gregory Allen Jr.'s sister. So it seems like there might be a lack of effort or due diligence. And then when reading through your guys' reports, there's a perpetual conflict of interest, whereas there are unfounded, unsworn declarations and statements being made that aren't being made under the pains and penalties of perjury in an egregious attempt to extort Gregory Wilder here of his blessing from the Heavenly Father, which would be Gregory Allen Wilder Jr. So there's just a lot of concern here about what this organization is actually doing and who's actually in charge of heading these investigations. Through my investigation of your guys' community or corporation that is cooperatively entered into a contract with the state for federal funding and grant money, this seems nothing short of a Hobbs Act violation, which constitutes extortion. And because every agent and agency in here gets paid, it would also constitute a RICO violation as well. So what harm is Gregory Allen Jr. in, or what evidence does this organization have to prove that Gregory Allen Jr. has been neglected, 1, 2, caused harm, injury, damage, and loss, and 3, isn't best suited with his father, which again is a blessing from the Heavenly Father to Gregory. I'm just kind of curious where this all...
I'm not arguing any of that because...
Certainly, because it's unarguable. I agree with you.
Because it has all been already determined by the judge. We have court orders, all that stuff's in place. I'm not going to retry anything that's already been
Right,
done.
she would be the ministerial
So
clerk. She actually wouldn't be a
that's-
judge because that would violate the separation of powers
I understand
clause.
your belief, but I know what I have to do under my job legally. So
Okay.
at this point, what I wanted to discuss was what your wishes were regarding the family, who you wanted us to talk to, what you would like us to discuss, and did you have one that you preferred over another? What you were looking
Well,
at?
what I wish is the restoration of my property is what I'd wish number one, and that would solve a lot of the
I
further
understand that.
questions
The
that you
judge
have.
has ordered that we can't do that right now.
Any
So-
of my family's fine.
I've got a question too. You guys were in receipt of a termination of any implied or presumed or assumed contracts. That was sent to you guys via mail. You guys did receive that because
Yes,
we've got files from your lawyer saying, hey, can you guys explain this documentation? So absent a contract per Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution, which is also upheld in the Indiana State Constitution, what legal authority do you have to hold on to Gregory Allen Jr. Wilder?
Court order from a judge that says that we are to have the child. Period.
Okay. So, and again, the woman that you're calling a judge would be Diana Kenworthy, correct?
Judge Kenworthy, yes.
Okay. And is family court part of the judiciary or is it part of the executive branch under Bill 666?
I'm not arguing any of this.
I'm not
stuff,
arguing
okay?
either. I'm just simply asking
This
questions.
is
I'm
stuff
not
that
arguing.
I'm not going to discuss because what I'm here to discuss
Mm-hmm.
is whether or not he wants us to talk to his family about potential placement of his son.
Oh, absolutely. But
That is all I'm going to discuss. All the rest of that is something
Sure.
if you want to bring to court and argue with all of that.
Well, I'm just
that's your
curious who
business.
was in
But
charge
I'm not
of
going through all that.
contacting the family because obviously you're the lead agent in the room, correct?
Correct.
You're in control of everything. So who
No,
carried
but-
the primary active degree of fault for making sure that everybody in the family was notified of Gregory Allen Jr. being removed from the home?
When we first get involved, one of the first questions we ask when a child has to be removed, the first question we ask is, who in your family can we contact?
Okay, but in your
That's what I
guys'
said.
policy, it states, and also reaffirmed by Title 42, that you have a fiduciary obligation to ensure that your agents and agency reach out to the family prior to anything else happening.
Mm-hmm.
In your guys' reports, it says that you made a diligent effort, but it doesn't say how you made that diligent effort.
I
with-
talked to both of the parents of Gregory Wilder
Okay,
Jr.
so you were the one that was in charge of making that assessment and
I
doing your due
asked
diligence.
if there was any possible relatives or kin. He told me he has no one other than his neighbor.
That's,
So-
And
that's
then
argumentable. That is
Charlene
argumentable.
told me
I-
that there was no one other than possible parents in Fort Wayne.
So in your
that
training,
never
they don't
happened.
train you how to do an active search
We did
through.
a PPS investigator referral.
Okay, so you don't look at Google, you don't look at
That's what the
Facebook, you
PPS
don't look
referral
at.
is for. That is sent to an investigator, and that's his job, and that's what he does. It's outside of this office, and then they send us the results of what they found.
Okay, and the investigator is like a sheriff's department agent,
No,
officer.
it's someone hired by the state they're usually retired law enforcement officers. A lot of them are anyway. And then they do a number of searches that they're to conduct.
And
then send that
nobody
back to us.
within that has a prior law enforcement credentials or qualification was able to ascertain the information that is readily available on Google search
I don't
in
remember
5
what
seconds.
those results said at this point. I mean, that was.
Is there a way that we
but
can access those results from you guys?
I don't know that answer.
Were you
find
ever
out.
in receipt of any of that information from that agent?
Yes.
And what was his determination on locating the family?
The investigative referrals in there. We looked.
Okay,
I'd have
but-
to, like I said, that's been some time ago. We'd have to look.
We'd like to add that to the records that we're requesting as well, because what I see here happening, and it's pretty egregious, is a violation of this man's rights. It's also alienation of affection. I don't know who has the right to tell another man whether or not he's competent enough to enjoy his loved one and raise him the correct way.
The judge has that right, and she made that decision.
Okay.
So again, let's
Or-
go what we're here for today.
Okay, but-
So you're okay with us speaking to each of the people that have contacted us? Is there anything about the case that you want?
You could tell them
You don't
anything
care
you
what
want.
it is? Okay,
'Cause
that's what I
you
wanna
can
make sure, 'cause I don't
expose-
wanna- I don't wanna do
ma'am,
anything
can
you don't want,
You can
so.
expose me because there's nothing in there
Okay,
that
that's
has ever
fine.
been
That's
said.
perfectly
Go
fine. I
ahead
just
and
want to make
release
sure.
all the
not
information
ashamed
that
of
you
nothing.
have to Ronnie Wilder, all of it in its complete entirety. And the next thing I would like to ask is, when will he have his property back? I know you keep deferring to Dana Kenworthy as though she's the end-all be-all, but the fact of the matter is, the determination that she made was all on hearsay. So there's no, I don't see anybody
That's
that
not
is
possible because
substantial. It's not possible.
No, because
Go
that's
ahead.
how it. Because hearsay is not allowed in the court when we are doing the determination of whether or not removals happen.
Okay.
And again, this is a pointless conversation because I can't overrule a judge's court order, and
I'm
we
not
have a
asking
judge's
you to
court order.
overrule
So,
anything.
well,
I'm
so
not-
he's not getting his property back because the judge's court order.
Okay,
that's-
so
and
I'm asking you,
I'm
is there-
bothered by the fact you refer to his child's property, first of all.
Well,
But-
that's because
but
that's what
not-
it is. It's RNA, DNA. It's a gift from the Heavenly Father. It is
It's a
property.
gift from the Heavenly Father. I will agree
Absolutely.
with you on. Property, I will not. But okay.
Okay, so-
so you can sign here if you're okay with us doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can speak with them down there at the bottom line. But you, go ahead and read just what we're saying.
Well, that date of birth's wrong.
I have his birth certificate.
Yeah, and
I checked
the
it.
the entity that is was issued on 3 days later on 7/29.
But he was born on 7/26.
They're not familiar with the information that
Yeah.
you're speaking
Just
to
fair
them
let
about.
them
They're
know,
keeping
yeah.
a record in there. I will correct the record. Agreement or anything, because we terminated all of those. So I'm still curious as to how you guys.
Again, we are
presume
under a court
to-
order, and he is under a court order, and that is what we are required to enforce and what we are attempting to do.
Mhm, but those have all been terminated.
Because what you are saying does not contradict what the law says right now.
So you're
which
saying
is
a
in this
man
court
doesn't
order.
have a right to govern himself, and he doesn't have a right to
He
consent
does
to
not
be
have
governed?
a right to argue at this point. I'm sorry. That's
Okay.
what the judge has said, and that's up between him and the judge. That is not
So
my
I
business,
would like to
but
know
that's where we're at.
what is your guys' modus of operandi in the.
Yeah,
You
I'm
sent
just
them to
telling
me.
you.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying
Okay.
you never
And-
give that to me because I don't have it. I've never been given that information.
I believe that you said the terms were just filed yesterday.
What?
The
The
actual paper-
petition, I signed it this morning. It's filed today.
Okay. So
There
it's not
was
received yet.
proof, but that
Okay.
wasn't hearsay. So could you include the proof?
It's your
with-
court orders.
It's your
It's
court
what the
orders.
judge
You
says.
said with proof it went to the court and the court decided this because of your proof. Well, where's your proof? Because you're the one who presented the proof to the court.
We've been through
Correct.
the
You
paperwork.
were
We
at
don't
that
see
hearing.
any
You were
sworn
at the hearing where
declarations
judge
of
made that
fact
ruling.
with supporting. How much training before you decide to start removing people's offspring from their house? Like, is it a
We're not.
30-hour?
We're not. That we were here
We
to
got what we
dispute this.
needed. I'm not going
Are
to
you
sit here
gonna
and
do
do
a
this
drug
with
screen
you.
today?
No. I mean,
Okay,
are
so
you?
you're
Are
refusing
you?
a court
No.
order?
Are you going to? I'm not underneath the court order
Okay,
no more,
okay,
Danielle.
we're done.
I'm not in
Thank
contract.
you. Thank you.
You guys
I
need to see
appreciate
it.
you
You
coming
guys are an
in,
organization,
and I
an
appreciate
agency
you
with
signing that.
contracts.
I'd like to give that to you as well. So it's a Constitution. Might become
Okay.
familiar with the 4th, 5th, and 6th
Thanks.
Amendment.
Yeah, have
So
a nice day.
thank you guys. Oh, we're gonna have fun with this.
Like Port Authority speaking.
They know they don't have authority because the family court is not a fucking judiciary. It's a fucking executive branch business. Well, they've been duly informed of the laws they're violating, and now we can inquire as to their innocent explanation. They don't have a clue. They think they're protected by this Dana Kenworthy, and it's fucking hilarious.